if I may greet two persons in particular, I would like to welcome in particular my friend Ashok Sridharan, the mayor of the city of Bonn, and Avi Reiners, where is he? The mayor of the city of Mönchengladbach. If there were any other mayor, please speak up, then I would also welcome you in person. I would like, can you hear me? I would like to present today the most recent real estate projects in the city of Düsseldorf. The title of this presentation is Düsseldorf Lovable, Livable. Some of you may know that Düsseldorf has repeatedly been rated one of the most attractive cities when it comes to quality of life, when it comes to lifestyle in our city. What I would like to underline in this presentation is to what extent also real estate projects contribute to the quality of life. Düsseldorf is, as you all know, the state capital of North Rhine-Westphalia. It's a city quite sizable in terms of inhabitants. We are the 6th largest city in Germany with some 645,000 inhabitants today. We're relatively small in terms of size. The Düsseldorf covers an area of 217 square kilometers, which makes us, I believe, the 73rd largest city. So space is a scarce commodity in the city of Düsseldorf, and it becomes scarcer and scarcer as the city continues to grow, because Düsseldorf, first of all, is a very powerful business location. Düsseldorf is a city which is privileged to the extent that we have a very diversified industrial structure. Düsseldorf still has a sizable number of manufacturing jobs. For example, the Sprint of Mercedes-Benz is being assembled in Düsseldorf. Henkel has still major production in Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf is still the second most important banking place in Germany, with major banks and insurance companies. Düsseldorf has a cluster in information and communication technologies, and Düsseldorf is on the way to develop itself into a real start-up hub. And not to forget, Düsseldorf is also a hotspot for so-called creative industries, advertisement, fashion, and on top we also do have very high-end services in Düsseldorf: law firms, consulting firms, accounting firms, of course architectural offices, and I will come back on that. And you see here just a few numbers. We have more than 500,000 jobs in the Düsseldorf area. In terms of purchasing power, we're the second most important location in Germany, and Düsseldorf is also home to people from 184 nations. When we talk about Greater Düsseldorf, this means the whole area. Düsseldorf is at the heart of the just recently established metropolitan region Rhineland. The managing director, Kirsten Jahn, should also be, well, here she is. She has been just recently appointed managing director, Kirsten Jahn from Cologne. The metropolitan region Rhineland comprises Düsseldorf, Duisburg, Cologne, Bonn, Aachen, the area of Wuppertal, so the extended Rhineland with some 8.5 million inhabitants. Düsseldorf is also at the very heart of the larger metropolitan region Rhine-Ruhr with some 12.5 million people, and with this size we basically play in terms of inhabitants, in terms of size, in terms of economic value creation in the same league as, for example, Paris-Île-de-France, as Greater London, as Big Apple, the extended New York City area, and also the LA metropolitan area in California. Düsseldorf is a meeting place for international business with the Messe Düsseldorf. The Messe Düsseldorf is one of the most important trade fair companies worldwide. We have some 23 so-called Leitmessen, leading fairs, ranging, for example, from Medica, which is a fair for medical equipment, medical technology, until the Boot, the largest boat fair worldwide, which has just celebrated its 50th anniversary this year. And of course the Messe brings not only hundreds of thousands of exhibitors, it also brings millions of visitors to Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf is also a city of short distances. Some call Düsseldorf a 10-minute city. It takes 10 minutes from the airport to the downtown area, and the airport is the third largest airport in Germany. I've once said, I mean, Düsseldorf is probably the metropolis, and clearly Düsseldorf has everything that a metropolis has. It is probably the metropolis in the smallest conceivable format, and therefore everything can be reached within a few minutes. Düsseldorf is a city where business works, both in the literal as in the figurative sense. Düsseldorf has a lot of jobs, has a lot of workplaces, and we make business work in Düsseldorf quite as well. And Düsseldorf is also a, well, I think it's fair to say, a beautiful place to be. Düsseldorf is a city of significant architectural, of significant natural beauty, and of course of this very unique Rhinish lifestyle as we have it in the Düsseldorf area, and therefore it is, as I've mentioned, not surprised that Düsseldorf has repeatedly been acclaimed to be amongst the 6 most attractive cities in the world. We combine in Düsseldorf, we combine economic strength, political stability and social cohesion, and this makes a place a very livable and lovable place. Düsseldorf is a city that is open-minded. You may have followed maybe the carnival parade in Düsseldorf, which sometimes makes headlines all over the world. Düsseldorf is a very international, multicultural place. We have, as I've mentioned, people, residents of 184 nations in Düsseldorf. Some almost 40% of the Düsseldorfers have a migration background, and that does not even include migrants that came from southern Germany to Düsseldorf, as I myself did. Düsseldorf has the most important Japanese community in continental Europe. We have a fast-growing Chinese community. We have European communities. We have a large Greek community, a large Italian, French, Portuguese, Polish, Turkish community, and they all add to the specific lifestyle and the attractiveness of the city of Düsseldorf. We also are a hotspot for arts and culture, with museums, with an opera, with several venues for the performing arts, and of course also a very vibrant and dynamic off-scene in culture. Sports, we are proud to have Fortuna Düsseldorf in the first division. We have the hockey team that plays the playoff of the National Hockey League, and with Borussia Düsseldorf, this is in table tennis. Borussia Düsseldorf is the most successful team in Germany when it comes to national and international titles. And of course we also like to organize big sports events. Some of you may remember we had, for example, the Grand Départ in 2017, which attracted some 1.5 million people to Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf is also a city of music, not only the city of Robert Schumann and Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy. Düsseldorf is also the cradle of electronic music with Kraftwerk, these are these 4 gentlemen here, and also the cradle of German punk music with the Toten Hosen, which are probably the most popular band in Germany. And, oh shoot, that went too fast. Düsseldorf is also a place with very attractive public space. We have the Hofgarten, the park designed by Maximilian Weye, reaching back to the 18th century. We have a wonderful waterfront, which has, of course, dramatically been upgraded with the tunnel that puts the road underneath and has sort of a wonderful promenade on the waterfront of the Rhine. And with the Kö-Graben, you see here the Cornelius Square, which has just recently been redesigned according to its historical size and historical looks. And this used to be the construction site for the Wehrhahnlinie, the subway that we had just opened some 2 years ago that goes through the entire inner city. And you've already seen that. Düsseldorf, of course, is also famous for beauty and for shopping. not only shoes, you can basically shop everything high-end on the Königsallee, and that is why many people believe, well, there once was the saying in Berlin, if you see a beautiful woman in Berlin on the Kurfürstendamm, you can assume she's probably from Düsseldorf because she shopped her. So now finally, we're coming to the real estate market. Sorry for this somewhat lengthy commercial message for the city of Düsseldorf, but of course I also wanted to mention what we have new in terms of new projects and how they also contribute to the quality of life, to the quality of living in the city of Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf is, when it comes to the real estate market, among the top 7 locations in Germany. Düsseldorf is attractive for investors in real estate, and we have major transactions seen in the real estate market just last year. Altogether, these transactions had a volume of almost 4 billion euros, with probably the most important things were the Stadttour, which you see here, which has changed ownership, also the Metro headquarters and the IKB, which is a major Düsseldorf bank. These were major transactions in the real estate market, as I said, adding up to altogether almost 4 billion euros just in 2018, which was an all-time high. Before we look at individual projects that are new and that I wanted to present, I would like to make a few words on the principles which we comply with when it comes to urban planning. There's one important principle is called in German Innenverdichtung vor Außenzersiedelung. That means that we would say we would first look, before we tap on not yet developed space, we would look where can we densify, where can we intensify the use, where can we use area more efficiently that is already being used, that's already being used, where we have already some urban development going on. This is this issue of densification, of urbanization, also closer together, and sometimes even also building higher buildings, building high-rise buildings in the inner city. This is important for us. When this also means that we convert, no longer use brownfields where we used to have industrial sites. I mean, there are many examples in Düsseldorf how former industrial sites were converted into very attractive either commercial or residential areas in the city. We also have put emphasis on quality when it comes to architecture. That is why we usually use urban design competitions to come up with the best result for each individual space. And when it comes to the process, we also put a lot of emphasis on broad participation of the population. We believe that the Düsseldorfers know best what's good for our city, and therefore we plan the process of developing the city together with the citizens of Düsseldorf. There are many examples. Raumwerk D, for example, is a very successful format which attracts a lot of participation, and I guess, well, basically the ownership of the city is the citizens of the city of Düsseldorf, and therefore they should have a say on how we develop the city. Now let's look at a few. We would start with some office projects in Düsseldorf, and maybe the first which we have here has just very recently been decided. Kaistraße 1 is a piece of real estate in the first development of the harbor, one of the few places left not yet developed in what used to be the Düsseldorf Handelshafen. I think we came up here with a highly attractive design. It's a project by Momini Developers, and the architecture is by Christoph Ingenhofen. I think it fits very well to this part of the harbor development, and it also goes very well together with the historical building, which is now the Economy, the former metro company, the Economy headquarters, which you see just to the right, which is this historical building. I think they make a very interesting combination. Of course, as always, when we tendered this piece of real estate, we had a lot of highly attractive bids. It was difficult to make a decision, but of course eventually somebody needs to win. There were many attractive bids out there, so we had to make a decision. Wer die Wahl hat, hat die Wahl, as we say. The second development is not yet finally decided. That is the Alte Kämmerei, right at the Market Square, which used to be the treasury of the city of Düsseldorf. It's a building from the 50s. It's a building that is protected under Denkmalschutz rules. But also here we had plenty of extremely innovative, imaginative bids out there. Now there are two projects still under discussion. One is by Art Invest, the other one is by Team Rhein-Ruhr, and we will eventually decide very soon actually who eventually is going to make the race. The next project I would like to introduce is something that I have already presented at Expo last year, which is the former Kennedy Dam Center on Kennedy Dam, which in the moment hosts the Umweltministerium of North Rhine-Westphalia. This will be knocked down, and what we see here is a tremendously attractive high-rise building developed by development partners. I think this will be a real eye-catcher. When you come from the airport, drive downtown, you will see this. To the right-hand side, you see the other high-rise building, which is the Sky Office building by Christoph Ingenhof. And before that, you have the Pandion, which is by HPP Architectures, the headquarters of L'Oréal. I mean, this will be just a row of highly attractive high-rise buildings at the entrance of the northern entrance of the city of Düsseldorf. The next building is also in the north, which is the headquarters of the German Cement Works Association, which has also just recently been presented to us. The next building, the next development is very interesting. That is also entrance to the city from the north, the so-called Nördlicher Zubringer. When you come from the Autobahn of Essen, you will see to the right-hand side, before you enter the city of Düsseldorf, this development Northgate. It's a Turkish group, the PK Gruppe, that is going to develop that, and the architects are RKW, also a Düsseldorf-based architectural studio. The next project, Misal, you see we've added this little map. So you see this is at the very entrance to the harbor area. This high flyer is the road to the harbor. This is also an attractive office building, very green, with an innovative mobility system with an automatic underground car park, and very highly attractive office space at this place, at this area, which is very, very on demand in Düsseldorf. The next building, the right-hand side, you see this is the already existing Trivago headquarters in the Düsseldorf harbor. It's been designed by SOP architects. What will be added now is this high-rise building, the Trivago Tower, which is currently already under construction. And with the Trivago headquarters, we are really opening a whole new chapter in the development of the Düsseldorf harbor. I will come back to that later on. But you see here, this is the area of Kesselstraße, which will soon be developed. And to the other side, you see the Speditionsstraße. It's also an area which we will continue and continue to further develop. This is another recent development, Trigon, in the western part of Düsseldorf, in the neighborhood of Herd. This is a project designed by Meyer-Spitz-Mohrkramer Architects, also a Düsseldorf-based architectural studio. Here you see it's not the nicest pictures, but it's a very important building. It will be the replacement of the no longer working hall for figure skating and ice hockey in the south, in the neighborhood of Benrath in Düsseldorf. This is a project by our stand partners of IDR, Industrieterrains Düsseldorf Reisholz, and it's a very ambitious project because this building needs to be in place by end of 2020, when the ice skating season begins. And well, we are hopeful. We've had good experience with IDR, They built a large school also in Benrath, including planning and construction and completion in the record time of 3 years. So we're hopeful that we also managed to do well with the figure skating hall. The next building is in the area of Rath. This is an office, I think a very nice office building, which is being marketed by our stand partners of Antheon. And the next building is in the extended airport area, Mannheimer Straße. You are aware, in the area around the airport, we have set up many attractive office buildings. We have by now more than 20,000 jobs in the airport area, and this will add to the stock of office buildings that we do have. It's a project that has been brought and will be marketed by our partners from Angefeld Immobilien. And Shift is another office building in the airport that is the immediate airport city. It's a project by the Düsseldorf Airport, the real estate branch of Düsseldorf Airport. I think this is also something that combines, of course, office and also architectural beauty. We now come to the residential projects in Düsseldorf. As I've mentioned, Düsseldorf is a fast-growing city. We need to build housing. We need to add. Our aspiration is to add some 3,000 new homes, new residential units each and every year, which is a challenge, as I said. I mean, also considering that space is expensive and space is scarce in Düsseldorf. Lüttiger Straße is the first project. There are still bids out. This is not yet eventually decided. These are the three projects that made it into the last round. And Lüttiger Straße is in a very popular residential area in the neighborhood of Oberkassel. It's also on the left-hand side of the Rhine. It's the site of the former indoor swimming pool public swimming pool in Oberkassel, which has been relocated right to the Rhine, and where the area will now be used for building residential units. And I think these are three projects that again combine architectural beauty with what is desperately needed in Düsseldorf, which is additional housing. The next project, Dijker Höfe, that is the site of what used to be the fashion houses. Fashion houses is the fashion. Düsseldorf, of course, still is a city of fashion, but the fashion houses are no longer very fashionable, and therefore we will knock them down and will replace them with a residential project, Dijker Höfe. The fashion houses is also on the way when you come from the airport, the northern entrance of the city, and I guess this will also be, will not only be an attractive residential area, it will also be an eye-catcher when you come from the airport and drive to the inner city of Düsseldorf. The next project, Lennegärten, this is a good example of what I just said in the beginning of my little presentation, that we need to use space where we have it as efficiently as possible. Lennegärten is a project in the inner city neighborhood of Pempelfort, which is in the moment not very efficiently being used, and we will add additional housing units to the space, and so this project is something that sort of follows, as I said, the principle of intensifying use where we already have buildings, rather than tapping currently still green, unused space. Innenverdichtung vor Außenzersiedlung. Dorotheenhöfe is also a somewhat complicated project because it's next to the railway, and next to Dorotheenstraße, which is a very busy road in Düsseldorf. There you need to design the houses so that the emissions are tolerable. Dorotheenhöfe is also an interesting project because we combine here a very diversified mix of housing. It's also part of this project will be reserved for apartments for the homeless population of Düsseldorf. So what we also do, we also say a city works if the popular mix is being maintained, and I think this is a good example how we apply this principle. Niederkasseler Lohweg is in the neighborhood which is called Seestern, which used to be a fairly mono-structured office area. We want to diversify. We say people do not want to have just office monostructures. I mean, the mix between residential, office, shopping, entertainment, and this is something that we will establish in this neighborhood of Seestern, and these two residential buildings will add to that and will make this place a lot more attractive. We will also, of course, continue to build office and commercial buildings, but we want to sort of add also residential because it makes the neighborhood more attractive. Ludgering Quarter is a project which I do very much like, because this combines sort of across generations the entire mix of Düsseldorf. It's a project of the welfare organization Caritas. We have here a nursing home for the elderly, we have a kindergarten, we have apartments for apprentices, which is very much wanted in Düsseldorf, where we have a serious shortage of, and so it basically represents the mix of the population of Düsseldorf and takes care of particular uses which are desperately needed in the city of Düsseldorf. Albertusee is what used to be the back office facility of the Metro Group. This will be converted into, this is quite obvious, will be a very attractive residential area also in the western part of Düsseldorf, in the left-hand side of the Rhine area of Hirt. And this is a project where Metro partners with Pandion, who do have some experience in these inner-city residential projects. The next one looks a little awkward, but it looks in the moment a lot more awkward, because this is a bomb shelter from World War II, which will be, such a thing is very, very difficult to knock down, because this is meters of concrete. It will be converted into a residential, into 24 residential units, retail space and kindergarten. It's in the neighborhood of Gerresheim, where it's quite adjacent to one of the major residential projects in Düsseldorf, the former Glashütte, where we will develop some 1,400 residential units in the neighborhood of this Gerresheimer Bunker. I'm quite happy that we finally found such a good solution for this, in the moment, fairly ugly looking former shelter from World War II. Now I would like to talk about two opportunities, two pieces of real estate that are up for grabs for investors. One is Lovable. It's in the residential area of Zollviertel, and this is a place where quite a sizable number of apartments can be developed. To the north, the upper side will be developed by the communal real estate company, but what is surrounded by the red lines, this is up for grabs, and of course we're looking forward to many bids how this can be developed into an attractive residential area. And the second two pieces of real estate that are up for grabs are on Speditionsstraße. You see, this is the Düsseldorf harbor area. You see the construction site that looks by now even a lot more developed. This is the project where we built 2 towers with residential units, the so-called project so-called win-win. And these 2 pieces are open for a mix of commercial use, maybe some apartments, and we're very much looking forward to many attractive, innovative ideas how this piece of real estate can best be used. When we look forward, when we look ahead, what is coming up in terms of urban development in Düsseldorf, there's first the project Blau-Grüner Ring. Some of you may have heard of that, the area where the Oberkassler Brücke, the ramp of the Oberkassler Brücke, which sort of separates the Ehrenhof from the Kunstakademie, things that basically belong together, because of course the Kunstakademie is the reason why Düsseldorf is a city of arts, and the most important museum of the city is the Kunstpalast at the Ehrenhof. And when you go further down south, you come to Krabbeplatz with the art collection of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. I mean, this is in the moment not quite obvious that these things belong together, and this will be the challenge to be resolved, one of the challenges to be resolved by the Blauböhner Ring. The next picture is an idea. You know Kaschhaus, you know that the Kaufhof and Karstadt group has new owners, the Signa group, and Signa is of course also a company that has ambitions and aspirations and high quality standards when it comes to urban development. They have shown us this idea how we can change the area of the around the Kaschhaus and the Wilhelm Marx house, which is one of the earliest high-rise buildings in Germany. And I think this looks attractive, but there are some traffic, some circulation issues that needs to be addressed. But I just wanted to show you this picture as one idea how this can be converted and I guess turned a lot more attractive than it currently is. The media harbor is, as I said, we're opening up a new chapter in the development of what used to be the industrial harbor of Düsseldorf. What you see on this picture is the project Pier 1. This is this pier built into the water. It's a project that we are currently developing together with Ingenhofen Architects. Also with the new bridges, you see behind ideas what could happen with the Kesselstraße, which is sort of the next street that we want to redesign and where we want to establish sort of this urban atmosphere that we have developed in the harbor area during the last 25 years. And another idea is what is called here the governmental district. There have always been ideas to develop a Regierungsviertel, a governmental district in Düsseldorf. In the moment, many offices of the state government are basically spread all over the city. I think it does make sense to concentrate these functions on a space. I mean, we have made a first step with a barter deal with the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, EDR. They have traded basically this parking lot next to the Rhine Tower with the building right at the waterfront, the former administrative building of Mannesmann. And I think this should trigger, also we bring some movement. You see down there this, unfortunately I don't have, this is the former Domestic Affairs Ministry, which will be knocked down because it is infested with asbestos. And so there are many opportunities which we do see, and of course we are in conversations, we are in a very fruitful discussion with the state government, and I would very much appreciate if we jointly could make progress in developing this governmental district. I think this is a project that has long been discussed. Now it's about time to sort of to have concrete projects to follow from these discussions. Finally, the Belgische Kaserne this used to be barracks of the Bundeswehr, no longer in use. It is a sizable area in the very east of Düsseldorf, right next to the Autobahn A3. This is a project you may have heard. This is being discussed for if we manage to try to successfully bid for the Olympics in 2032. Not just Düsseldorf, the whole Rhine-Ruhr area. I mean, this area is very much in the midst of all the cities actually that sort of jointly would bid for the Olympics, and therefore this would of course be a place that would be very suitable to establish the Olympic Village. Some people are afraid this could be too much. One should be aware, clearly in the Olympic Village that during the Olympics some 16,000 people would be living in such an Olympic village. If you convert it into apartments, this will be maybe a third, so it will be apartments for some 5,000 to 6,000 people. I think this is something that we do need because, as I said, the city continues to grow. We believe this is an attractive space. What we, however, would have to develop is a solution for the traffic, because in the moment the Bergische Landstraße that connects this area to the city of Düsseldorf is already basically at the limit of its well, workability, and therefore we would have to come up with brand new concepts how to solve the circulating the traffic transportation issues. Let me finish with well, I would call it a little help from a friend. What you see here is how the harbor area has been converted into a very attractive urban space in Düsseldorf. You may know that the city of Palermo, the capital of Sicily, is a sister city of Düsseldorf. And I've been several times to Palermo. It always strikes me that the Palermo waterfront in the moment is not developed, but I'm quite sure the Palermo waterfront has the same potential as the Düsseldorf harbor had, or for example, when you look what happened in Copenhagen, the waterfront was probably the most rundown area of Copenhagen. It is nowadays the most attractive space in this very attractive city to begin with. I would invite you to consider, look at Palermo. I think my colleague Luca Orlando, he has managed to resolve the issue of the mafia. Now it's time to develop this beautiful city. Of course, first of all, you're invited to invest in Düsseldorf, but if you have some monies over and some ideas left, Palermo is a place to be looked at. Thank you very much. This completes my presentation. I hope it was halfway inspiring to you, and as I said, I thank all of you who do look at Düsseldorf, who do develop projects in the city of Düsseldorf. You are invited. Düsseldorf is a lovable, livable, highly attractive city, but there is still a lot of potential to be tapped, and let's tap it jointly. Thank you very much.